Good morning. Today is July 3rd. This is my 6th garden tour. It's going to be 90 degrees out today, which means that my phone is not going to cooperate for very long. So my garden tour is going to be very quick. I'm just going to shoot an overview and then just real quick mention of anything that has changed. Cucumbers and basil haven't changed, just continuing to grow. Looking very nice, keeping them watered. I am pretty sure this little honey nut was able to be pollinated even though there was no male flowers open at the time. So I'm not sure if this got pollinated with another squash or what, but it looks like it was pollinated. So yay for honey nuts. Hopefully that one will continue to grow. I cut a bowl of lettuce and it's already starting to grow back. You can see some of the little leaves reaching up. And I've been checking my rainbow chard. I had little white eggs that look like miniature grains of rice on the bottom of the leaves, about half the leaves. So I looked it up and come to find out they're leaf miners and they can pretty much destroy your chard. So I pulled those off, the eggs, not the leaves, and I've been looking at the leaves every day just to make sure that there's no more, and this morning I just found a couple more. So I pulled those off and I'm just watching them now. The strawberry plant in the garden, these are the runners that I got off of my mom's plant. They continue to send off pretty blooms and it looks like they're growing. And I'm pretty sure these are pink strawberries, so I have no idea what variety they are. I don't remember. But they are pretty. I've been picking these peas as snow peas, but then a couple of them have gone away from me and they've started to thicken just a little bit, and once they start to thicken the walls get kind of woody and tough and it's hard to chew, so they're not very good. So I left these bigger ones on the pea plant to go ahead and grow into peas, and this one probably I'll grab today because that looks like that's good sized peas. I think the most impressive peppers at this point are the Czech black peppers. It's hard to see them in the beans. Czech black peppers, and they will turn color. They'll turn red when they're ripe, so that's exciting. And the sweet peppers there. The banana peppers are looking nice and healthy. I think these might be ready soon. I think they turn yellow though before I can pick them. The pumpkin is steadily growing. I need to get a different type of support out here because this is just too stretchy and not really working. I have a produce bag from onions that I'm going to get out here and tie it up with. I have, however, noticed that my leaves are starting to get some powdery mildew. So I'm going to have to treat that. That one's actually spiderweb, but it does have some powdery mildew on it. So I'm going to have to treat that so that it'll keep the pumpkin alive. Powdery mildew is very common, especially for our area on squashes and things. Luckily right now this is the only one that has it. It has such large leaves that I think it just keeps and holds the moisture more than the other squashes do at the moment. So some of the treatments that the gardeners are using right now are, it's milk diluted in water, and you spray the milk spray onto the leaves every morning, and that like neutralizes the powdery mildew and it keeps it from spreading as fast, from what I understand. However, our family doesn't drink real milk, so I don't want to waste my almond milk trying to see if it would work. So there's a baking soda method that I'll be using. That's how big he is. It's a pretty big pumpkin. For the honey nut and the Gouda here, I decided to just help them up the fence, and they looked kind of sad and pathetic the first day because all their leaves were turned the wrong way. So once I put them up though, the next day, I mean, they look fine. They look like they're gonna go along the fence just fine. I just won't be able to move these buckets out to mow or anything around them, so yeah, that's gonna be difficult. I really pruned my tomatoes really well to get off lower leaves and all of the suckers on top. They're already starting to grow back. I did that on, I think, Tuesday of last week, so shortly after I filmed my last video. But even still, I mean, they're almost as tall as I am. Granted, they're in, you know, a raised bed, but they're very tall. This one is the delicious tomato, and just look at the size of those. That is very exciting. This is the early girl, and it finally has blooms on it, and even though it's an early blooming variety, I think that this one was on my second or third sowing of tomato seeds because my seeds were so old and a lot of them didn't germinate. So I think that this variety happened to be just the ones that didn't take the first couple of times. So the other ones technically got a much quicker head start, you know, probably by a couple weeks. So that's why I don't think that this is going to end up being early after all. Which is fine, because then I'll have tomatoes that are spaced out a little bit more. This is another delicious tomato, and I have a feeling that this one came from a fasciated blossom. It means like two blossoms growing together because of the bottom. All the rest of them are nice and round. There's no little pockets or anything, so I have a feeling that that one had an issue. It doesn't look like blossom end rot to me. It looks like a couple of tomatoes fused together. So I think that might be what happened there. So we'll grow it and see what happens. The salad green tomato, the lime green salad tomato is looking good. It's a little like lighter color than the rest, but the leaves are darker and smaller. Maybe that's because it's a determinate variety, I'm not sure, but it's looking good. Okay, and out of my super sweet tomatoes, there's two things I want to show you. This is Queen Elizabeth. I call this tomato plant Queen Elizabeth because when it was just a seedling, I had started it inside with, I do have a little grow light, and I was so excited and super just elated that I was able to grow something from seed. And it got so high and I was moving things around because it was touching the grow light, so I moved the plants around, and when I moved the tray that this one was sitting on, the whole tray slid sideways and this fell on the floor and completely topped it. So the whole top of the tomato was completely cut off, and I was just so upset. I actually cried. It's terrible. But thankfully my husband talked some sense into me and calmed me down, and I just popped the top of the plant right back into the cup that it was in. And lo and behold, this is what it looks like, and it's as tall as all the other one that was started at the same exact time. So clearly, it was worth it. Well, there's something very interesting that's different about the Queen Elizabeth variety. There's something very different and unusual about this one that the other super sweets aren't doing, and I thought this was so interesting, and I don't know if it's because it got topped so it has like a different drive to grow. I have no idea, but check this out. So I have tomato blooms, right? But then look at this. What is that? It's like a branch growing out of where the tomatoes are. And here's another one. So it's not just that one little arm. This is another one. And it goes up. And it reaches like a whole new branch. Isn't that crazy? This is the third one. And then it reaches out for a branch. I've never seen that happen before. I don't know if it's because it got topped. None of the other ones are doing it. I mean, I have, just regular tomato blossoms. Oh, look, this one's starting to do it too. Wow, that's crazy. Look. And then it's starting a branch at the end. Does anybody know anything about those? Can you tell me anything about it? I haven't had a chance to look it up, but this one isn't doing that. And this one wasn't topped. See, look at all those tomatoes. And not a single little branch coming from any of them. I mean, how interesting is that? So if anybody knows a story about why it's doing that or what makes it do that, I'd love to know. Okay, this is the last super sweet that I have, and this one is by itself, thankfully, on the deck. I'm not sure if that's why it ended up having an issue, but it looks like it's getting blight. I'm not entirely sure if that's blight or what. I just touched it, so I'm going to have to wash my hands before I go back into the garden, but, yeah, is that what I'm seeing? So anybody that knows gardening better than I do, I'd love to know your thoughts, whether or not this is blight or if it is actually a deficiency. I'm not going to touch any of the other leaves that aren't infected just in case it is blight. So it's the lower leaves. It did start, I took off 2 down here. So if you know, let me know. Alright. Thanks bunches for watching, guys.